Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's a mega edition of the Triple Option. And I'm joined by my two compatriots, my colleagues, my amigos, Kevin Little, Adam Brown. But today, 3 turns to 4. And I have one of my most special amigos on the FSU beat. First ever guest on the Rollcast, my friend. I say friend. Josh Newberg of Knowles 24/7. And we're going to talk all things camps, whether they be elite or mega. We're going to talk stars or star power, glitz and glam all over the place. Josh, I'm amped up. You've been awake for 36 hours straight. At least fake that you're amped up.
I'm amped up. No, I really am. I haven't had a chance to kind of like debrief and talk about the camp, so I might be all over the place, but you've already dealt with Brendan Sonnone, so I won't be that bad.
No, I don't imagine. We were able to keep Brendan between the blinders, so that was good. I think you'll be fine. Kevin, Adam, how you guys doing? Are you as amped up as Josh and I?
Go ahead, Kev.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, recruiting's the lifeblood, man. It's everything, and these guys have energy. They're organized. This is the most excitement that I've seen around the program in my 2 years I've lived in Tallahassee.
And I can tell, Kevin, because your voice raised like a half an octave, which was the highest I've ever heard it on this. That was some electricity right there.
Oh, yeah. Also, the girls softball just won, so that's exciting, if anybody cares.
Oh, hell yeah. A lot of people. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah.
Oh, can I get a word in here, Kev, Mr. Softball?
Yeah.
I'm absolutely fired up. I asked Josh off camera if this felt like 2010 or kind of recruiting vibes again, but it feels like things are kind of maybe turning out of the dark days of negativity, and I don't know. We'll see. I'm pretty fired up. Felt good. Felt good this weekend following all the Knowles 24/7 updates because those guys were absolutely crushing.
Did good. Josh has got calluses on his pointer finger from all of the Twitter updates. Josh, it was a roller coaster of a week. We had Midnight Madness. We had chrome tricycle motor things, decommitments, transfers, camps, everything. On the whole, I mean, how long have you been in Tallahassee? When did you get in town?
So I pulled up on Friday afternoon, and I will be departing on Monday morning. But it feels like I've been here for a week because the last 2 days have been busy in a good way. I mean, we were out there on Saturday from about 9:30 until 10 p.m. And then today for the mega camp, it was 4 separate sessions with a half hour in between each one. And it went from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m.
So I think the majority of this show's focus is going to be on the stuff that you were there to see in person. But what were your thoughts of like the Midnight Madness and all the stuff that happened in the beginning of the week? Kane Madden, the Marshall transfer, goes to Notre Dame. Nico Marchio, he is gone. See you later. With something that you adeptly kind of predicted about a month in advance. What was your impressions of the Midnight Madness event? I like on the Knowles on the Bench 24/7 podcast. A lot of people had the notion that this was like the big event of the summer, and you pump the brakes. You go, no. Right. Like this staff is going to be doing these every single week. You don't understand.
Right. And I think that was like one of the takeaways, and that was probably my biggest takeaway, was that the commitments didn't come. So there was frustration, or there was like a sense of, oh shit, we just did our big event and we got no results. And I was just kind of like, no, wait, you guys got to take a step back and understand, like, they're going to do this every weekend. And also every single one of those prospects, they really wanted to get there for the Midnight Madness, came on an unofficial visit. So that means that they paid their own way to get there. And that means that they have at least one more guaranteed trip to Florida State. If they don't ever come back again, Florida State can pave their way on an official visit. So Kevin Coleman, everybody that was there took an unofficial visit. They'll all be back. Jaleel Skinner, Sam McCall, Travis Hunter. None of those guys were there on official visits. So
Julian Armella. Yeah, right.
Julian Armella. I thought that was impressive to me. That shows that it wasn't just this one-off thing where FSU pushed all their chips in to bring all these guys in on official visits on the very first week, because that would be kind of stupid to do it like that, especially now when kids are taking visits all over the place. Nobody's committing on June 1st. So if you take another step back and you look at college football in general, kids have had 16, 18 months of no visits.
Right.
And Now everything opens back up and you're seeing recruits just go from one town to another on all these trips. Why would you commit to the first school that you visit? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And what's going to happen is, just as like a vacation sounds great, you know how if you go on like a 14-day vacation, you're trying to do everything and see everything. By the end of it, you're just like, all right, this actually sucks. Yeah. I'm done. And that's what's going to happen. When we hit about June 14, June 20, after some of these kids have taken 3-4 visits, maybe even more than that, I think you're going to see some of them say, okay, I had my fun. I'm ready to, just narrow this thing down or commit somewhere. So I think it'll slow down a little bit. But just because FSU didn't get commits, like I would tell you if I was worried about it. I'm not.
Zero worry. Scale of 1 to 10. 10 being Brendan Sonnone level, like daily life worry. 0 being none. Where are you?
Honestly, I would say like a 1 or 2. And here's why. Because even if Florida State landed let's say Florida State just landed all these guys in the summer. If they go out and win 6 or 7 games, they're going to lose like half of them anyway. So why worry now? And then also on the other side of that, if Florida State goes out and God forbid somehow they win 9 games, recruiting is going to take care of itself anyway.
I like it.
So I'm not worried.
Midnight Madness, all positive. I mean, the Nico stuff, we knew that was happening. Kane Madden, that was a legitimate just kick to the nuts. But dude,
neither of those had to do with Midnight Madness, right?
Correct. Independent. And the Kane Madden thing.
Did either of them really have anything to do with Florida State in general? I mean, I realize that they did, but look, as soon as Notre Dame got involved, Kane Madden was going to Notre Dame, right? I mean,
I would have. I mean,
was there a lot? Was there a lot that Norvell and the company were really going to do to kind of change that mindset for him? I mean, I don't know.
Maybe a different hashtag. I don't know.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Nice try it, but you guys did it, man. You did it. The first time was fun. The second time was it was like Anchorman 2 a little bit. Like maybe we should have just left it at 1, but that's neither here nor there. But let's move on to positive. So you're there Friday, Josh, and Friday was the elite camp. Mm-hmm. And so for the people that weren't there or have been living under a rock, what was the structure of that elite camp? What was that all
First
about?
of all, let me explain how the elite camp came. And I think, nobody knew about the elite camp until we put the article up like 2 hours before it began. Everybody knew that there was going to be prospects coming in for the mega camp. Well, a lot of people were kind of perturbed because they were like, well, all these players are coming in the mega camp and every coach that's there is going to get their hands on them. And we knew that they were doing an elite camp on Saturday where these guys were going to actually work out. But
how far in advance did you guys know about it?
That doesn't matter. But here's the thing. When a college can't do an invite only camp. You're just not allowed. Like you can't turn anybody away that wants to come in. If you're having a camp on a college campus, you can't turn anybody away. The only way you can do like an invite only camp is if nobody else knows about it and then the kids show up and they camp and they're the only ones there.
Gotcha.
So it was kept kind of quiet and a lot of people didn't understand the dynamics of the weekend. Well, here's the dynamics. FSU was getting all their top prospects on campus. Well, all the top prospects that were coming on campus were working out with them on Saturday, not Sunday. Some of them bled over to Sunday. If most of them just came out to the mega camp and just watched, they didn't really work out there. So Saturday, the prospects began arriving around 10 a.m. It was kind of like a junior day. They did all the visits. There was probably 3.5 dozen prospects there in total by the time the camp started. So it was more of an intimate setting. I'd say, under 100, I'd say, sure. Which in terms of a college camp, that's really small number. And everybody there was offered. I mean, maybe like a handful of guys, maybe like 5 or 6 didn't have offers.
And a couple of guys that were there got an offer. So these were all high priority targets or guys that we were close to pulling the trigger on, like a Travion Williams from Mississippi, who we're going to get to. They saw work out and it's like, okay, done deal, offer.
Exactly. So they did the whole day. And then around 4:00, they went to go eat somewhere. They all loaded up on the buses, went to go eat. And then at 7:30, they reported to the IPF and they they began their practice, and it went for about an hour. And then I thought it was over. This is the part I didn't know about. Mike Norvell brought them all in on the practice field. Now we're outside on the practice fields. And it sounded like it was over. And he said, this has been a really special day. You guys have worked hard. So let's go finish under the lights inside Doak. Let's go. And he just ran everybody off the field.
Nice.
And we ran straight into Doak. The music was on. It said, "Welcome to Doak" on both the scoreboards. All the lights were on. And they finished camp there. They basically did a couple position drills, and then they did one-on-ones with O-line, D-line, and the skill guys, and then it wrapped. And they all got snow cones after. They brought out a snow cone
delicious, absolutely masterful move. Who could be unimpressed by surprise snow cones? Am I right, gentlemen?
That's how you win their hearts, right?
That's right. Pro snow cone YouTube show here. Which of the kids, Josh? Just speak on the overall level of talent that was on Saturday, and then which kids stood out to you the most that were really impressive?
Sheesh. The overall talent, there's so many good prospects on campus, but there's some important ones like Nigel Kelly. We talked a lot about him because he decommitted from Florida State, and this was his first return visit, brought his mom. So that was really good to see. Obviously, anytime you can get Travis Hunter and Sam McCall back on campus, FSU's 2 5-star DB commitments, they were there.
Travis Hunter was there for like a week, right? Hasn't he been there for like an entire week?
Yeah, he got there, what was it, Monday?
Yeah.
And he's here till today. I heard he was maybe leaving today or tomorrow.
He literally got off the plane from out in Cali, right? At midnight.
Yeah, exactly.
Josh, were you worried about what were your thoughts about it? It seemed like pretty much everybody worked out, but Nigel Kelly. Like, do you have some concern about him not working out? I've heard you talk about in the past about, especially when during Jimbo's time, about guys working out and getting those guys to come in and compete. It struck me a little bit that he was one of the few that didn't compete.
I would have liked to see him compete, not because from a talent standpoint, because from a talent standpoint, he's damn good. And, he just got a Clemson offer. He just got an Alabama offer. The only reason I would have liked to see him work out is because it kind of builds that connection with the position coach. Right, and if you're really serious about going there, you tend to work out. But Nigel, you've been around him. I'm not saying this in a bad way at all, but he's just he's a different cat. He's like one of those different cats. So, no, I'm not going to look too deep into it, but I think if he would have worked out, it would have been a bonus.
Okay.
What was the vibe?
Yeah.
What was the vibe?
Let me keep going.
Okay, sorry.
Let me keep going.
The juice man.
Yeah.
Juice up. Yeah.
There's this wasn't an event for 2022 QB recruiting. If you listen to On the Bench, you would know that FSU has QB commit AJ Duffy, and they're going to probably sit on the second scholarship probably into the fall. I think I say that on every episode. So there is no pressing need to add a 2022 quarterback right now. So the focus is really on 2023. And there's a couple arms there. You can go on Knowles 24/7 and read it. There's like 6 or 7 that FSU has high interest in. I want to talk about 2 real quick. Avery Johnson came in from Kansas. I think he's in that top 3 on the 2023 board, up there with Chris Parsons and Dante Moore. But Avery Johnson came in from Kansas. He's going to go to UGA. He's going to go to LSU, Texas A&M, and a few other stops after Florida State. He's only been to Kansas State so far. He talks to Kenny Dillingham every Monday. I think Kenny, having talked to a few quarterbacks now, I think Kenny calls his 2023 quarterbacks like on a day each week.
Okay.
So Avery's a Monday guy, and he talks to him every Monday. Athletic family. I think his sister plays softball, I think, for Wichita State, and his brother is a lower level football player. And he is a ridiculous basketball player. I don't know if you've seen the dunks yet. Have you seen the dunks?
Yeah, it was like when Vince Carter like rubbed the nether region all over that French guy in the Olympics. He did one of those in Kansas high school basketball. But yeah, man, that was
sick. Yeah,
very impressive.
You can tell by that video that he doesn't train as a quarterback year round. Like he's an athlete, right. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. Like he's just not a trained quarterback at this point, and that's okay. He's a 2023 guy. He's going to get better as a passer, but FSU likes him a lot. They also like Tyler Jefferson. He had a strong performance. He's a guy that has an offer and FSU is active with. It was good to see Rodney Hill there, the commit. Rodney always has a huge smile on his face from Virginia. He was back again on an unofficial visit. He must have loved Tallahassee. I can't blame him. But he's just a great ambassador of the program. Every time I see him, huge smile on his face, talking to other recruits, just really, really good guy to have around the program, and really talented. And then on the offensive line, there were some guys. It was good to see Alu Ba. Alu Ba is the IMG 4-star. Is he the most recent commitment, Alu Ba?
Yeah, I think he is.
Believe so,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So he's the most recent commitment. It was good to see him there, because I know, he's kind of had some ups and downs with his weight, but I'm here to say he looked great. I'm sure spending an off season at IMG has helped with that. He'll be at IMG this season. So I really liked him, and I was I kind of thought he was a surefire guard, but seeing him slim down and trim and explosive.
Say it.
I think in 24 months from now, we could see him competing for that tackle position.
There we go.
A tackle that's a tackle. Suck on that, Chris Nee. Oh man, I love it. So we think we have a high school prospect that's going to come in as a tackle and will finish his career as a tackle. Tackle.
It could happen that way. It could happen.
He looked good though. He looked good in a lot of the clips that you guys were posting.
And I put a full video up on
YouTube.
Today. I think it's about 1:50 of him working with Atkins. And I got some more video. I got some video of Quayshawn Sapp, who I want to talk about. Quayshawn Sapp's from South Georgia. He's really built how you want a high school lineman to look. He's an interior guy all the way. I think he needs to work on his technique a little bit. He kind of sometimes gets beat by guys he shouldn't get beat by, but the foundation's there. There's a reason he's a big-time prospect. Right now, I think UF is probably the biggest threat. He's going to make a decision. Was it July 3rd for Quayshawn Sapp? Yeah. So he'll make a decision here in about a month. And then Florida State extended a new offer today, Brian Grant.
Big
Tennessee
guy.
6'7", a converted basketball player. He's out of Ocala, and he's currently committed to Tennessee. I hadn't heard any smoke about him and FSU. I've never even heard his name come up in conversations. But it was telling to me that he's there. I mean, the kid's committed to Tennessee. He could sign with Tennessee if he wants, I'm sure. But he made the drive up to Tallahassee. He messed around and earned an offer from FSU. So I'm going to have to dig on this and find out exactly where on the board he is and what kind of value FSU sees in him. But that's an intriguing name. Anytime a 6'7" offensive lineman walks on campus and gets offered, I think Florida State fans are gonna get excited about that.
It did. I'm sure that was a very click heavy article for you guys. Is that one of those situations where I guess you're going to have to dig on it first. We've been hearing the same kind of offensive lineman names associated with FSU through this recruiting cycle. Quayshawn Sapp, Kanaya Charlton, who was
Elijah
there.
Pritchett.
Yeah.
Elijah Pritchett, Daughtry Richardson.
Yeah.
Does it Brian Grant? Is he behind them in the pecking order? Do you feel like from how you witnessed, like how excited they were from coaching him? Where do you think he falls? I mean, you don't know yet, but where do you intimate where
I don't
he might
know
fall?
because they also have Jalen Early, who's out of Texas, and Jalen Early hasn't visited yet, but he's supposed to. And I feel like there's a good connection there. They like him a good bit. We'll see if they can get in on him. And then there's Emory Jones out of Louisiana, Enery. He visited for the spring game. And of course, LSU just fired their offensive line coach, although they hired a new one. So, you don't know how that's going to play out. But yeah, there are a lot of guys kind of out there right now because it's, there's a lot of uncommitted prospects. So I don't know. I got to find out.
How many
Check
tackles?
24/7.
How many tackles do you think they end up taking? I mean,
I think they could take 3 more.
Yeah, 3 more. Three more
I
tackles.
mean, if they fell in love, hell yeah, I think they would.
All right. Shit.
Infinite more
the problem
tackles.
hasn't
that
been
answer.
The problem hasn't been lack of space. The problem has
Yeah.
been lack of quality bodies to bring in.
Yeah.
Right.
So up to 3 offensive tackles. What? How many interior? Like how many total offensive linemen do you think they're looking at?
I think
this
they
class?
can sign 5. I think they'll end. 4 or 5 is probably
So
the number.
just a fresh offensive line.
just
But it also
change,
depends
bro.
on what you
Yeah.
can get. You know what I mean?
So you mentioned Pritchett. I know we're on it. We're not going to transition a whole lot here. Try not to get too all over the place. But Pritchett's coming off of his official visit this week, and sounded like he, had a nice time based on some of the interviews that were out there. And I mean, does he seem realistic?
He's coming back Wednesday.
There you go.
He'll be back Wednesday for FSU's big man camp.
I thought that was big.
Yeah, I definitely think that's important because of what we said about working out with your future coaches. So when he was on his official visit, he didn't work out, which isn't, no big deal. FSU didn't have a camp going on. He arrived on Thursday and departed on Saturday morning. So he's coming back on Wednesday. I heard him when he walked out of the Moore right before he did his interview with us. He turned to Atkins and said, I'll see you Wednesday. So he's going to come and presumably work out. I think that'll be big. I still think FSU has programs to overcome. If Alabama, potentially Georgia, but more importantly Alabama, I think that they still have some work to do. Pritchett was set to make his decision on July 2nd. He has since, when we talked to him, he pushed it back. There's no exact timeline on when he wants to decide, but he wants to take some more visits and see some more schools. So we'll see.
So before I move over to the defensive side of the ball, because I know there's some linebackers that my 2 compatriots are just chomping at the bit to speak about. I want to hit on this. Kanaya Charlton dropped a pretty fun quotable about how. Take it away, man. He didn't have a lot of positive feelings for FSU a couple years ago. He basically almost wrote us out, but now something's changed, man. Did you get that feeling from a lot of these prospects, Josh? Like that since Mike Norvell has come in, that their opinion of FSU has changed as much as it can with only a 3-win season under his belt?
Yeah, and funny story. If we didn't double up on Kanaya Charlton, me and Brendan interviewed him twice on accident in the scrum. I interviewed him and didn't get that quote. And then Brendan interviewed him and got the quote. And after, we were talking about who all we got, and Kanaya Charlton was the only one that we doubled up on accident. And I was like, well, I'm writing it. And Brendan started saying about the quote that he got. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, all right, you're writing it. That's much better. I don't have that.
So for people that didn't see, he basically said, I eliminated Florida State right at the beginning of my recruitment. The previous regime sent me a recruiting graphic with my name misspelled. Granted, his name isn't John Smith or something, but still, you probably want to double check that before you send it out. And
he said something like, I never thought I'd consider FSU again.
And now he goes, I'm considering FSU very heavily. So and
then basically said, I'm going to go to FSU without saying I'm going to go to FSU. I was like, holy crap, kid.
Josh, you got your balls? You got a ball on Charlton?
Yeah, I've had my crystal ball in on Charlton for a long time now. Him and Sapp. I think there's more competition for Sapp right now in UF than Charlton, but I still feel pretty confident in both those picks as it stands.
Okay. So I'm going to a trio of names.
Daniel Martin. That's why I think 5 linemen. That's where I get 5 linemen from, right? Because you got Sapp and Charlton, who are surefire guards. Then you got Ba, so that's 3. You got to add 2 tackles. You got to add 2 tackles.
I'm with you. And whether it's Dashi Richardson, or Brian Grant, Elijah Pritchett, just kind of like the next 2 best ones that we can get.
I've seen some tape of Sapp snapping the ball. Do you any chance he could be a center and they take another guard? I mean, I know they've got a lot of bodies already.
I think they just kind of see him as interior.
Yeah.
I don't think they sometimes if they really need somebody that can snap, but I think they have that right now in Estes. So I don't think they're too concerned over somebody that can snap it.
So defense. Daniel Martin, EJ Lightsey, and then Travion Williams, who's a defensive lineman. The 2 first guys I mentioned are linebackers. Talk about them. Those are guys that I know Adam and Kevin love, all 3 of those dudes. So just gush about them if you can. And
I thought you meant Adam Fuller. when you said Adam.
No, the other
Kevin.
bald
that's
Adam.
me.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
me.
the other
Yeah,
bald
the other
Adam
bald
that
Adam.
lives in the
Yeah.
Northeast. Yeah.
Where do I start? I mean, Florida State just doesn't have guys on campus that look like this.
No.
Even when we talk about Williams as well, the defensive end. Even Gabe Hare, like one of the biggest things that stood out to me about this weekend is the prospects that came on campus don't look like the guys on the roster. And that is the start of the trend. Even if Florida State doesn't land some of these guys right now, at least they're getting them on campus. And that's how you start to shift. So now if the wins come, now you have the relationships. Okay, so anyway, EJ Lightsey, Daniel Martin. I feel good on both right now. I think Daniel Martin, FSU probably has a little bit more work to do than EJ Lightsey. But getting these guys on campus again and again and again is only going to help. They're going hard on the South Georgia guys. They're going hard on everybody right now. I think, I'd say EJ Lightsey right now probably more likely than Daniel Martin, but they're in a good spot with both.
Other kids too, like Quavian Carter. That was a kid that Zach Blostein put a crystal ball in. Shout out to Zach, the young king. Is he a South Georgia guy too?
Yeah, he's at Lee. He's with Quayshawn Sapp. Or is he? He's at Leesburg. Yeah, he's with Sapp.
What amazes me about these guys more than anything, even just besides that they look different and look better than the guys are, they've run so much better than a lot of the guys that are on campus already. The Martin kid, I mean, he just is explosive as a runner. And Lightsey is too, and I don't think you look at Lightsey and necessarily expect to see that as his game, but I was watching some of the clips from you guys from the elite camp, and I mean, he transitions really well, and they need so much of that in that linebacking core.
And you're just seeing that, like you're seeing him transition, you're seeing him move a little bit. We know he can hit,
right?
Because that's on tape. Like we know he can hit.
Right.
So,
his highlight tape had no coverage snaps, and so seeing that this weekend was a really good sign. And Martin is special, I think.
Not to go all Chris Nee checking the boxes, but it's nice to see that.
Don't be stealing other people's catchphrases, man.
They go to
come
camp
up with your own.
They go to camp and they show you the other part of what you maybe not seeing on their huddle videos.
Yeah, I agree. These guys are just they're bigger, faster, stronger than what FSU's been getting on campus.
Yeah.
So Saturday, snow cones, elite athletes, good vibes. We make our way to Sunday. And Josh, I don't even know where to begin on this. Maybe you tell me as somebody boots on the ground, because the amount of updates I got from this, literally thousands of kids, high school coaches. There was a Ron Zook sighting, still looking much better than I thought. Trickett, like old crusty Trickett was there. Everybody was there at this camp.
Hold on. I'm almost positive. If somebody could fact check this for me real quick.
Please.
I'm almost positive Marco Rubio was there.
You stop. You
does
shut
he have
your
a
face.
Does he have
No
a
way.
son? Does he have a high school son? If somebody could just wiki that real quick. If he does have a high school son, then I'm 100% sure. I'm like 90% sure it was Marco Rubio.
That's pretty good. You'd put a crystal ball with a 9 confidence that you saw sitting Senator Marco Rubio.
Yeah, Uncle Luke was there. I mean, there was all kinds of characters there.
4 children.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So just give me, what was it like? How was the organization, the structure? Just give me your impressions of being on the ground of the event. Then we'll get kind of granular and talk about the kids that we should know and all the 5-star, so much 2023 talent that was on campus this weekend, like high level, like that class to me. I'm 2022 looks good. 2023 could look program changing, but just give me your thoughts on what it was like to be there. Was it as crazy as it looked from the outside?
Yeah, so we pulled up about 9:15, 9:30, and it was packed. But what they did was they broke it into 4 sessions. So it was like offensive line, defensive line. I don't know, but it was
other positions.
It was a couple other positions. So they did one session from 10 a.m. to 11:45, then 12:15 to 1:30, and then 2 o'clock till anyway. They did 4 separate sessions. It ended at about 5:30, 5:45. So I think the first 2 sessions were probably the most packed. There might have been 1,000 kids on the field for like
That's
each
insane.
one.
That is absolutely insane. Like, was there any Was there a lot of?
It was on the
movement?
IM fields. It was on the IM fields.
That's out of control. Well, what did it look like? Did it just the coordination? Was there a lot of waiting around? Was registration packed, or was it looked like a pretty well-oiled machine? Was it?
Yeah, I don't know how they really ran it so well. It was mainly
expected much more chaos.
At least I paid a lot of attention for the first two sessions. So for the first two sessions, at least like in the beginning, it was mainly the FSU coaches doing the introduction of the drill, and then you'd have a bunch of lines set up, and so the reps were good because they had a bunch of lines, and then they were able to have a lot of the other coaches kind of like assisting. And once they got into the drills and once they got into the reps, the other coaches would kind of like give them the pointers. And,
right.
And there was times when an FSU coach would just leave to go talk to Malik Bryant, who's a 5-star defensive end from IMG that wasn't working out, or Mikkel Williams, or, they would walk off and go talk to somebody, and they could because there were so many coaches there.
Right.
I also thought FSU was well represented just in colors because they had like all the GAs and everything out there. So even though there were so many coaches from other programs, it still seemed like you saw FSU everywhere. Because
this is an FSU event, right? Like it was in your face, the brand. Like FSU's running it. This is a massive event. It's run well. It's on our field, which was a lot of concern that a lot of people had that this was just going to be free scouting for other people.
But you got to understand,
trepidation.
But Trey, nobody knew. Everybody had all this trepidation because nobody knew that they were going to do what they did on Saturday.
That's right. It's masterful.
If they would have known what was going to happen on Saturday night, everybody would have been like, oh. See, here's the thing. It was called the Mega Camp, but that was kind of like
a gimmick?
No, it was directed more towards the people that they were trying to get there, not the fans. You know what I mean? Like it was a mega camp for high school recruits, for high school coaches to bring their kids to. It was a mega camp for college coaches. It wasn't like a mega recruiting event.
Understood. Especially for kids that are starved for exposure with the COVID year. Really, I mean, it's easy to say in hindsight, but man, I know that this is something that a lot of the kids and their high school coaches are like, thank God for an event like this. And I bet there's going to be stuff like it at
college coaches.
True. Very true.
There's a lot of college coaches that were there that come from a lower level. Like I talked to some HBCU coaches, their whole season got wiped out.
Right.
So they were there and they had a little bit of spring practice, but like their whole, this was like normal for them again. And this was a chance. So even the coaches, and that's why I think this thing was such a massive success, because it was catered to the moment. And in that moment, it's recruits that haven't been out in 16 months. It's coaches that haven't been out in 16 months. I wouldn't say normally, but a lot of coaches might have, or prospects might have rolled their eyes at this. A mega camp, a big old cattle call, but like parents wanted to be out, like everybody wanted to be out there. I don't know if you could replicate this to the extent that it was next year or the year after. And I don't know if FSU will even do this next year. This might have been one of those things. Like I thought Midnight Madness is a one-off. I don't think that's something that you can replicate.
I agree too. I'm glad you kind of drew that comparison. Florida State staff seems like very topical. Like they understand like the pulse of like what they should do. Like they should do the Midnight Madness because people are dying for the dead period in it. They should do this mega camp because people are craving for exposure right now. And I agree.
They're not doing it just because they did it.
Exactly. Right. It's not going to be
Friday Night Lights at UF. You can't tell me that Friday Night Lights at UF is still a big deal. It's still a big event. But you can't tell me that it has the same kind of spark to it that it did when Urban Meyer first started it in the first 2-3 years that he had it. Not even close. And they're kind of, I'm not trying to bash Gators recruiting, but like
you can if you want, it's fine.
Once you get into that mentality of like, we're just now it's crossed over to 3 or 4 different coaches, Friday Night Lights?
Yeah.
At UF?
It's just like anything, right? It starts to become a little regurgitated. And when things become expected, it's not as organic, right? It's like, all right, man, Friday Night Lights again. And you'll get people there. But I agree with you, Josh. Now, one thing I wanted to touch on, you already said the event was a success. I know that throughout the day you were chopping it up, talking to high school coaches, talking to college coaches. What were their thoughts of the event? And were there any specific comments that really stood out to your mind? Like, man, Florida State hit a home run with this.
There was over 100 new offers that went out. Bud Elliott put that tweet out. I know
That's crazy. Bud
was
crazy.
talking to a lot of lower level coaches and all the, and he's kind of keeping more track of that. But he said that there was 100+ offers that went out, and I believe it. Some of these schools, like Coastal Carolinas and Samford and South Alabama, some of the prospects that they were able to see, they were loving it. And it was kind of funny to see, like, you'd be like, that all these coaches were excited. Like, somebody would get Coastal Carolina and all these, then they might get like Indiana with it. And I was like, oh, all those coaches, all those lower level coaches just got wiped out in one offer. But
yeah, dude, right?
Think about how exciting that is for a kid.
Yeah.
If he picked up 2, 3, 4 offers in one day because he drove to Tallahassee and he got seen by a coach, and like there's coaches from all over. Arizona State was there. Penn State was there.
Juwan Sider and Mike Norvell talking, that was a fun little photo.
Yeah.
Planting seeds. Who knows?
But like Toledo was there. I mean, it was, and if you can play at any level, there was a school for you.
How much goodwill is that going to build with a high school football coach, right? It's like, my kid got an offer directly because of this camp that you set up. And you know what? He's not a Florida State caliber guy, but next year, the year after, when you do have a Florida State caliber guy, I'm going to be looking your way, which is good for a staff with only 2 coaches with Florida ties, really.
Yeah, and that might help in a way, maybe next time this coach is if he's deciding between FSU camp and UGA camp, he's like, well, I know FSU is well run, and right. It's not a bad thing.
So let's transition from that. Big success, great stuff. Ron Zook was there, just the creme de la creme. What about the kids? Let's talk about the talent that was there on Sunday, because by and large, it was a camp where most of the kids weren't players that FSU was going to recruit. But talk about some of the guys that were able to be there, specifically 2023 5-star alpha dogs.
I was going to say, how about those 2 kids that had nothing to really do with the camp but were there?
Michael Williams.
Yeah.
Michael Williams is out of South Georgia. He's a guy that, kind of everybody pegs that's going to Georgia, but here he is showing up at FSU on an unofficial visit, which means he'll probably be back on an official visit. We're seeing another storyline that, you buried the lead. Are we seeing Odell resurgence here? 5-star defensive tackle Vic Burley was on campus. Vic Burley had some great things to say about Odell Haggins. He's another South Georgia guy.
Daniel Lyons and Dante Anderson tried to come into the Moore with some Gatorade, a patented Odell trademark move. Get that Gatorade up out of my Moore.
Why am I always involved in these viral Odell Gatorade?
Was that you? Did you take the Gatorade vid? It's you, Josh. It's just you, man. Right place, right time. But no, we gotta talk. We gotta talk about it, man.
Is
Odell
he waking
Haggins.
up?
The sleeping giant. Everybody talks about Texas as the sleeping giant. Odell's bass fishing trip for the past couple of years is over, and my man looks like did he look energized to you, Josh? I know we're just screwing around.
Well,
but
yeah, we are screwing around. But no, Odell looks good. He's had some surgeries. I don't know if it's lower back or hip. Knee. I don't know. Odell's been. I'll tell you this. Odell looks. When I started covering the team in 2010, before he's had his surgeries, he really looked 10 years older then than he does now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he was not moving around well when I came on in 2010, and he's doing better. He's had a couple surgeries. Just shout out to Odell. But yeah, it's been really impressive, and especially in Vic Burley, the 5-star defensive tackle from Georgia.
Great things he said about him. Great things.
I get big Eddie Goldman, Marvin Wilson, Derek Nottie vibes from his recruitment, because I remember when Odell was cooking, Odell plays the long game. He's not one of these guys like a Tim Brewster that's just going to hop in a recruitment and woo you and all that kind of stuff. It's a relationship build. It's a trust thing. He recruits in a unique way. And I think Vic Burley is a great example of if I've seen the Odell blueprint in landing a 5-star, it kind of starts with the way this Vic Burley recruitment's going.
There are Odell guys, and right now, five-star defensive lineman. He's in the process of becoming. He's being groomed to be an Odell
Trey,
guy. Is that what we're
Trey,
saying?
that almost felt like a freaking show crystal ball right there. I mean, that damn near felt like it. Holy crap!
Look at Adam. There's sweat. There's perspiration.
Man,
on
he's
the
so
forehead.
excited.
Look at how
I'm
happy you
loving
are.
every minute of this. This is like
You know
you're
what was funny? The Vic Burley story up on Knowles 24/7. It's probably one of the more mature recruiting updates that I've written in recent years. He was saying some great things, like just the things that are important to him, like education. Both his parents are educators. He said that they've instilled that in him for a long. I asked him, what are you looking for in a school? And he goes, education. And he said both his parents. But mind you, he's doing this interview with me, speaking all mature, everything what you want to hear. He's eating a snow cone. His whole mouth is blue. While he's talking to me, like bright blue. And he's
looks
saying
like he
great
just
answers.
cannibalized a colony of Smurfs, like just ate them raw. But it's like, yeah, I really like the business school really impresses me. Just like blue spit running out of his mouth. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I have a curious question here. So you've always said, like, with all the Odell haters, it's always been when he had something to sell, Odell was an elite recruiter or a top-notch recruiter. What's the difference? Is it just that he's more energized and he's feeling better than ever? I mean, do they feel like they've really got something to sell right now with playing time and kind of the resurgence?
I think the staff is really working together a lot better. I think the addition of Ryan Bartow has helped a lot in South Georgia. That's where we're seeing some of this resurgence happen with some of the big men, as we should. Like, why was FSU not pounding South Georgia for defensive and offensive linemen? Now look at us, like we're swimming in it, Yeah. So I just think that the focus, I think there's just been some things that have helped them out. Now we still got to close because recruiting is a what have you done for me lately type league. And let's be honest, like what has Odell Haggins recruiting done for us lately? There's been some misses. There's been we knew after about Marvin Wilson's sophomore year, it was kind of like, who's going to be the next Marvin Wilson? We had such this run of defensive tackles,
right?
And the cupboard got pretty bare for whatever reason. So now it's just a whole new set of circumstances. I think year by year, you got to review. Right now, it looks like Odell's going to, it looks like he's laying the groundwork for a pretty strong class and a pretty strong 2023 class. I think if FSU goes on the field and they win and they can impress, then he'll recruit well. So, yeah, I think it goes with that. But I mean, I'm not one to just say, hey, give him a pass no matter what because he's Odell Haggins. I think, I do think you gotta take into account, what's going on. And I think Mike Norvell does a good job of that.
Yeah.
So Odell looked good. Before we kind of wrap this thing up to a nice little bow, and this is something that I think the fan base is always enamored with. Who are the ace recruiters on the coaching staff? Who really stood out to you in this combination recruiting / like camp setting, Josh? Who stood out to you? Is it the same kind of culprits, surprises? Just what did you think about how the Florida State coaches looked at these two events?
Yeah, I might even change my FSU recruiting rankings.
Please do it here, exclusive on the triple option.
I always put Norvell 1, and I just do that because he sets the tone. He makes a lot of these guys great, and Jimbo did that early on as well. Like Jimbo was FSU's best recruiter for a period of time there, and it was almost like the assistants were battling to keep up and just trying to keep up with Jimbo. And I get that in a sense with Mike. I think maybe not trying to keep up with him, but he kind of sets the framework between his energy and accountability. I think these guys all know what their expectations are. And I would go Kenny Dillingham, Alex Atkins, Marcus Woodson, 1, 2, and 3.
Nice.
Dillingham number 2.
No, 1 now. I would move him to 1.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because we need to see Alex Atkins close on some guys, and we know he can build the relationships, and now we know he can get guys on campus. So now we just need him to close. Dillingham, I put number one right now because he's just kind of in his own. He's doing his thing. He's getting these guys on campus from all over the country. He had a 2024 QB flying from California. He had guys from Kansas and just all over coming in to throw for him. He's done a great job of, landing AJ Duffy, that whole scenario and the way it played out, I think, with Nico. I think that, Florida State did the right thing and kind of nipped that in the bud when they could. Yes. And I think this whole thing would have unraveled prior to if there wasn't a dead period. Like, they weren't going to run Nico out of the class. They were just going to let Nico do it on his own. And I think he probably would have done it sooner had there not been a dead period. But he's kind of feeling like the James Coley role.
Nice.
Before the show started, we were talking about, is this like 2010?
Yeah.
Like, James was kind of the one that sparked the fire, that got it going, and was that guy. Remember that was like, he was on Twitter talking shit before coaches got on Twitter really talking shit. Remember, it was like, what would he say in the morning? Like,
Cuban
stand
coffee,
tall, carry a big stick. And
he's
just spear.
It's just all phallic references. Just James Coley, just the king of
Dillingham looks like he can create a relationship with anybody, though. Like, that dude looks like he could stand and talk to a wall and just be having a good time. Like, he looks incredible.
Yeah, he doesn't take himself too seriously. I think that's probably, if there was one thing I could say about what makes Dillingham a great recruiter, it's that he doesn't take himself too seriously.
Right.
And he's not afraid to fail. Like, he's not afraid to go all in.
# Kane Madden at the top. Well, I like that, though. You got to shoot your shot in recruiting.
You got to,
absolutely.
Man. And my thing is, like, we were talking about it on the OTB, is it a bad look? Like, yeah, it's a bad look. But, like, who's it a bad look to? Because when Doak Campbell's packed against Notre Dame and there's 88,000 people in the stands, how many of those people do you think know that there was any hashtag going on in the offseason? Like, probably like 2% of the stadium. 2%,
and then when you throw in the amount of alcohol that 2% consume, like how many actually remember that it had? Minuscule. So before, because I'm very interested, because you, Josh, you started on the beat in 2010, like the beginning of the Jimbo Fisher era. I want to have a comparison with that. I'm going to hold out off on that for a second, because I do want to get a full kind of figured picture of this. Were there any negatives that you saw this weekend? Anything where you thought could have been improved? Anything that stuck out to you like, hey, I don't know about that? Anything that stood out to you negatively before we wrap this up? Because it was too hot. I don't know, man. What I like, I thought some things were too long, but do the recruits care? Like, how it's tough, right? I might care, but do they care?
Hours on the campus? I don't know.
Nothing glaringly negative, really.
The fields could have been in better shape, but I heard people complaining about the fields. When you're on the fields, sometimes you don't like. I don't know. No, I don't think there was really anything that I would say they should have done better. I thought the elite camp was just unbelievable, the way they transitioned it into Doak and the excitement that brought. Like, I don't know, an ice cream truck instead of snow cones, but it was hot. Snow cones served a purpose. Italian ice, you cheap bastards.
So would you
maybe something nicer than a slingshot? I don't know. Bentley.
So between Midnight Madness and the elite camp, which one of those two do you think was more impactful?
Well, there was way more prospects at the elite camp. But midnight, okay, so impactful. All right, so then I would go with Midnight Madness, because FSU that kind of kicked off June. And like we said at the beginning, everybody thought that it was like, oh, here goes FSU. They're blowing their load like right on June 1st at 12:01 a.m. And it was like, no. This is just like going to set the tempo for this month. And that's what it did. You had that happen. Then you had Elijah Pritchett official visit. Then you had elite camp. Then you had mega camp. On Wednesday, you're going to have 7-on-7. On Wednesday, you're going to have big man camp. On Sunday, there's going to be a one-day workout. Next Wednesday is another 7-on-7, another big man camp. You're going to have official visitors come in on June 11th. You're going to have official visitors at the end of June. Like, there's a mega weekend of official visitors. I think there's like 16 or 18 official visitors coming in like June 25th or whatever the last weekend in June is for recruiting.
Josh,
So-
you actually, your long hair, you didn't get a haircut. It actually fell out from how much Mike Norvell is like working you to death.
No, it's good.
So coming out of the week, and I know there was a boatload of prospects. So just ballparking here. Who are a couple of guys that they really kind of moved the needle with coming out of this week?
Good question.
Yeah. Well, one, Vic Burley we talked about. I'd love to tell you guys okay, let's talk about Earl Little Jr. He was here.
That one blew me away that he worked out.
Not only did he work out, what did he get there? Friday?
He's been here 3 days, right?
Yeah, he's still there. On Sunday when I was leaving, I bumped into somebody and they told me that they were going to meet Earl Little. I'm like, he's still here? Yeah, he's still there. And his dad. Here's my take on this situation. I think Florida State still has a team or two to overcome, mainly Alabama. I don't think they're going to overcome Alabama, but you never know. Like, let's say one of two things happens. One, things go sideways with Alabama, like Earl Little has a falling out with Alabama. Then I think FSU's right there to catch him. Let's say Alabama fills up at DB and that option is off the table. I think FSU's right there to catch him. And it becomes very realistic they could. But until that, like, I'm not here to start up the Earl Little hype train just because he spent a few days in Tallahassee and loved it, which I'm sure he did. But I think that's one to kind of just put in the back of your head for a while. If you start hearing things go sideways with Alabama, start the Earl Little hype train. Daniel Martin's a guy that I think they made a move with. Malik Bryant, he's a 5-star 2023 edge rusher from IMG Academy. I spoke to him just before we left on Sunday. He wasn't working out, but he was there hanging out, going on tours and stuff. And he really likes FSU. He's going to have everybody in the country after him. He's coming back, I think, during the season for a visit. Obviously, Michael Williams showed up. And then you got Travion Williams, the defensive end out of Mississippi, who we touched on, but we didn't really talk about. He's got offers like Ole Miss, Tennessee, Auburn. He's got a couple official visits set. I want to say like 2. He told me he's definitely going to take one to Florida State. Nice. I asked him straight up, is it too late? Was it too late for Florida State to come in? And he kind of like shrugged it off and just said, no way. The visit blew him away. He said he had no idea that he was coming in for an event like this. He thought it was just going to be more of like a workout. The staff wanted to see him type thing.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they did a great job with him. There's a 2023 wide receiver named Adam Hopkins. I pulled up from half court like 2 months ago and logged in a crystal ball for Adam Hopkins to FSU. And today he named FSU his leader.
Nice.
Yeah.
He and Gabe Harris are pretty close, right?
Yes. Yeah. He was out there hanging out for a couple of days. Yeah, seeing Sam McCall there, I wasn't quite, Sam McCall didn't show, he was a no-show for the spring game. His ride fell through. But, fans hear the old ride fell through and they roll their eyes and they think immediately something's wrong.
I did.
Nothing's wrong.
I did.
Nothing's wrong. Sam McCall was there. He's hanging out with Marcus Woodson. He was like walking around with him all day today. So that was good to see. There's some concern mainly on your end about that, but yeah, just seeing some of the commits like Gabe Harris and Aaron Hester and Travis Hunter, and finally seeing guys that look like they're supposed to be committed to FSU.
Yeah,
it's
you
nice.
have to squint your eyes and be like, kind of. It's like, well, you see all the kids that have left, man. They're going to Troy. They're going to Tulane. All the kids that transfer out.
And those were all guys that the fans had to convince other fans that they're, oh, no, we got it. This is an under the radar gem.
Oh, he's a tweener, man. DT, DN. It's the
Jaleel Skinner is a kid that coming out this week that sound like a lot of good positive, vibes or whatever, buzz. I mean, that's a kid that looks like a program changer, or an offense changer. I know he was up at Clemson, I think this weekend. I mean,
a little bit of a surprise there. I was talking with old Zach Blostein, the protege, and he's got a good pulse on that Jaleel Skinner thing. And we saw him pop up at Clemson, and he was like, "Yeah, that's kind of a surprise. I don't think anybody really knew. He didn't say anything about that. Maybe it was a last minute deal, and they were able to get him in. But like, I've been kind of measuring this competition for Skinner up with UF mainly, Miami."
Right.
Everybody knows because he's from South Carolina that, Clemson's a threat, South Carolina to an extent, but Clemson didn't seem to be going all in on him. Obviously, I've been kind of busy, so I need to see what's going on. I'll maybe shoot Anna Hickey a text and see, is Clemson really pushing? Did they just bring him in just to get him in? I want to see what's going on there, but I do feel good right now about my crystal ball to Florida State.
I mean, that's a kid that said he was a fan since he was 7 years old, and he's coming back with his jersey on and all kinds of stuff.
What position is Clemson recruiting him at? Are they doing tight end? Are they doing wide receiver? I know Florida State's recruiting him as a big wide receiver that they're going to move all over the place.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, Clemson's kind of has shown the ability to do that with their tight ends in the past. They've used guys like that all over the field. So I'm not exactly sure, but they've shown the ability to use guys built like him.
All right. So Kevin, Adam, get in whatever else you guys want to get in before I wrap this bad boy up. Are there any other prospects, things about the camps you want to ask the juice man about before we wrap this bad boy up?
I've bugged him enough.
Yeah, I'm just excited because a couple years ago when we were talking about recruits, we were like, can we hold on to them versus South Carolina? And now it's like,
what if
do we have a chance
Missouri
against Alabama?
Comes on at the end.
So they got to land them. But
Yeah,
the conversation itself has changed,
which is exciting.
That can't be denied. It's a good sign.
Right.
It doesn't mean that, just because these guys are coming to campus, it doesn't mean they're going to sign them. FSU has to still go out on the field this year and do their job.
Yeah.
Correct.
Josh, all right, so I have one last question here. And I know the talent on the field is going to be the talent on the field, but does watching these guys work in the recruiting game change your thought process at all on how they can impact a football game? Meaning, do you see how organized these guys are and say, all right, they have a level of being able to get it that we can go into games and have a coaching advantage because these guys are just so damn organized.
Yeah, but
the talent is a talent.
Yeah, the talent's the talent, and coaches like Jeremy Pruitt and some of the better coaches that I've gotten to know have always told me that it's all about the talent,
especially on defense.
Like even a guy like Jeremy Pruitt, who is known as like a great exit, all this stuff as a defensive coordinator. He was adamant that you got to get the guys. It's all about the guys. Sal Sinceri was the same way. A lot of the guys, they all understood what it took. So that being said, if I was on the outside looking in, I would be, a little bit concerned. Is this guy from Memphis? Does he have the dog in him to go out and get the guys? So the jury's out. The jury's out, but in order to land those type of guys, you got to get them on campus first, and that's what we're seeing this summer.
That's a good point. Very positive event, very positive weekend. It's not changing anybody's win projections just yet. Not mine, at least. Now, Josh.
That's the funny thing about recruiting, though. I noticed in April and May when recruiting really got rolling and FSU just had this momentum out of nowhere. It did. Fans started.
Oh hell yeah, we're beating Notre Dame.
Right.
Yeah.
These kids are not going to be on the field yet. These kids are not playing. This is good, but they're not playing next year.
Right. The roster didn't get better in April and May. They just. But yeah, but that shows how exciting recruiting is. And fans, they want to get excited for it, and I get it. And there is a lot of excitement right now around the program.
Josh, so this would be the final question because it's 10:40 p.m.
I'm fired
You're
up,
in the
sir.
A-loft. You sound great, but God, they just beat you to death.
How's this light?
You look great. You look like $1,000,000. Just your face is shining. Just a face guy. What did this feel like? Because you were there at the start of the Jimbo Fisher era when that staff. I mean, we've actually referenced them multiple times, like the James Coleys, all those guys, and they came in with such fire. Did this feel like an old school FSU event? Was this an event that you could have easily seen in 2011? Better, worse? Just compare this event to everybody wants to get to the old FSU. Was this an old FSU style event from the talent and organization and the juice and all that stuff?
Yeah, I would say, I'd say it was comparable. I'd say it was comparable because you have a staff that's all moving in the same direction. They're all moving forward in the same direction at the same time. And I would say under Willie's staff, you had a lot of guys moving, no doubt, but they weren't all moving in the same direction. Like guys were trying to get better. Everybody had kind of their own angle on things back then. And I feel like this staff, much like Jimbo's first staff, all moved in the same step. And I think that is a similar feeling. The only difference is, and maybe this is more like 2012 into 2013, but when FSU would get guys on campus, it was almost like they were coming to Florida State to work out for Jimbo, in front of Jimbo. Like they wanted that opportunity.
Right.
I don't think we're there yet with where FSU's at, but we're getting, we could be getting there. It takes a summer like this and then a good season to kind of put you, and then forget it. You get on that trajectory because you guys feel 2023 and what the possibilities are for 2023 if FSU can win.
It's crazy. It's crazy the type of the type of comments that high level of kids are saying about Florida State right now. That's extremely eye-opening. I think 2022 is going to be a good class. I mean, you got to do it on the field. I still think it's going to be good, kind of barring just a cataclysmic failure. But man, 2023 could be like, it could be, I don't know, you could be sniffing like a top 5 class, which is crazy.
Yeah. They're moving in that direction if they can win.
Well, this was a top 5 episode. I did a promo. I promised fireworks. I promised special guests. I called Mike Norvell out to have an episode that matched the grandeur of his mega camp. And God damn it, boys, I think we did it. I think this was a great episode. Josh, I miss speaking to you, bud. It's been way too long. We used to talk like once a month, man. You know
what's funny? The first time I came on your show, like it was a rough time for me. I wanted to come on your podcast just so I could kind of get remember everybody it was Blaine Berg and it was like, I was the dark side.
You were,
man. Negative one.
Dude, people were hating on you so
Everybody
bad.
said I was so negative and I like kind of wanted to come on your show. One, because it was lighthearted, but two is like, because you and I could have this conversation, I could kind of say my piece and why I wasn't being negative. I was just trying to tell y'all the truth.
You're probably being almost from all that we know now, you might have been a little kind, right? Like
yeah. And it was really hard on my end. I mean, you got to think about it. Like I made a conscious decision. I was like, okay, I know this guy, I know he wants me to go to bat for him. I know he wants me to like prop up this program, but on the other hand,
I have to sleep at night.
The things that I'm seeing and the feelings that I have and the decisions that I've seen made, I can't go to bat for this guy anymore. So it wasn't like, FSU fans were saying I was being the negative one and putting it out there, but man, that was a hard time. And I was just like, I can't believe, what, you guys don't see this too? But I get it.
Yeah, even the Nullcast was positive at that point in time.
I get it. It's everybody's favorite team. And if you got one guy that's going to go out there and just start saying that this isn't right and that this isn't the guy, there's going to be backlash until everybody sees it.
Well, Josh, I was happy to play the Oprah to your Meghan Markle, and look at our relationship now. Just now we're on video. It's a whole different medium. I love it, man. I miss talking to you. I can't wait to talk to you again, man. I hope we'll
do it again soon.
I know we will. I know
there's many more camps.
You friendly. Good. Hey, dude, get rest, man. Norvell's going to be working you to the bone. Tell your boy Bartow to like ease up or something. You know what I mean? Like you guys
go out with these South Florida and South Georgia dogs coming on campus every day.
Well, everybody, thank you for listening. We had a wonderful episode. I got nothing to say, man. Just thank you for listening. Subscribe to X's and O's YouTube. Adam, get a nice little golf clap, well deserved, and we'll see you soon. Because this train is a rolling all night long, baby. We're here for the ride.